Everyone who's watched Thomas the Tank Engine knows the sad story of Henry, the engine who refused to come out of a tunnel, all because he was worried that a few drops of rain would ruin his green paint and red stripes. As a result, they trapped him inside the tunnel behind a brick wall.
But I think he deserved his punishment. Don't you?
Perhaps. But what if I told you that far from the island of Sodor, there's another green engine with red stripes that has undeservedly suffered a rather similar fate of abandonment? Next to Chicago's O'Hare Airport, amidst a massive sprawl of warehouses, at one end of an overgrown network of rail lines, there sits a heavily vandalized locomotive that has been left to rust away here for nearly a decade. Its name is MARC 91. In the vicinity, it is joined by 11 passenger cars. The engine itself is attached to one passenger car behind it. On a neighboring track, there's a series of 8 more cars, and there's 2 older cars further away behind this warehouse. Ever since it has moved here, the oddity of a passenger train rotting away behind all these buildings has garnered the interest of many urban explorers. Some people have attempted to retell its history in their videos, but unfortunately a lot of the info they give is mistaken or just a straight up lie.
These trains have sat ever since they ran over a little girl, and the company was sued. They couldn't sell any tickets, so the trains went abandoned. You shouldn't believe everything you hear. I made it all up.
But if not the Urbex community, who can I turn to for reliable information on this abandoned relic? Rail fans, never underestimate the ability of these quirky enthusiasts to catalog every minute detail of every locomotive in existence. And the railfan lore of MARC 91 is deep. Numerous archive photos, forum discussions, and video game simulations surround this train. It is thanks to railfans that a fuller picture of MARC 91 and the nearby passenger cars may emerge. We'll start with the engine. MARC 91 is an EMD Model E9 diesel locomotive built by General Motors in nearby LaGrange, Illinois, in the 1950s. When it was produced, it was owned by the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad, and it was given the number 9973 and later 9907. In its early days, it had a shiny silver coat, which was later changed to the green we see today. The CB&Q eventually merged with other railroads to become the Burlington Northern Railroad, and some of the lines on which this train served would eventually become the Metra, Chicagoland's commuter rail system. Some people have been led to believe that MARC 91 was the same train featured in this infamous video from 1991. But this is false, as the railfans were quick to correct. While indeed these two trains are the same or similar model, this one, BN 9912, was taken out of service a year after the accident and is currently on display at a museum in Tennessee. MARC 91 was nowhere near where this accident occurred, as by now, it had moved from Chicago to the East Coast and was part of the Maryland area rail commuters fleet and given the new name MARC 91. The engine would continue to haul passengers through the Baltimore-Washington metro area until either 1993 or 1994, when it was retired. Its components were salvaged, and it would languish in a number of rail yards before being moved to its current location in 2016. These two passenger cars are a bit older, and were once part of the fleet of the now-defunct Illinois Central Railroad. They had the assignments IC 3351, nicknamed Capital City, and IC 4202, nicknamed Flossmoor. I'm not sure when exactly they were built, but almost all of Illinois Central's cars were produced in the first half of the 20th century. These two cars would eventually end up at the train depot in Lincoln, Illinois, where they were converted into a diner called the Lincoln Depot Restaurant. The diner went out of business in the 1990s, and the trains sat unused at the depot for a couple decades before they were hauled away to the Chicago area in 2015 and stored behind MARC 91. They were escorted to a slightly different location in 2020, where they remain. Lastly, there's the 9 bi-level Metra cars, but unfortunately it's difficult to find their history. The best place to start would of course be to identify the numbers of the cabs, and the best way to do that would be to visit the site myself. This is the current configuration of the trains. I figured I can divide it into 3 main objectives. First, there's the 8 passenger cars. Second, there's the locomotive and the cab behind it. And third, there's the 2 restaurant cars. On these passenger cabs, I will search for any external or internal markings that can be used to identify them. Budge. Get used to those planes, by the way. It's where these seats used to be. Bathroom. Oh my God, is it snowing? I wonder when that car was set on fire. Domo. Fuck UPS. Jesus, what did they ever do to you? Okay. Wish that door wasn't wide open. It's newspapers. God, they're working right in that garage there. What the hell? It's a compartment door. Jeez. I'm not gonna get through this one easily. This one's a bit better. The windows have been spray painted over. Shit, stay open. This one's also burnt out. And this is the last car. Sad, sad, sad. There he is, the MARC 91. Doesn't look like you can see the mark on there. There's a Maryland flag which is very faded. I guess there's not enough graffiti real estate on the train here. Get in there then. Back door is shut, and I'm not confident that it's unlocked. Those are instructions for people who would get on the metro with their bicycles. So this is where the engine would have been, in this big room. I believe they took it out and put it in a different train. It's chained. God, that smell. I think some people have been using this as a public restroom. I've seen that character at a different location. The last objective was to explore the two diner cars, but I was surprised to find that they were completely boarded up from head to toe. Now, I've seen plenty of sealed up buildings before, but never a boarded up train, so clearly I would not be able to see what they looked like inside. So here's what I have for the train car numbers. I found most of them from markings near the entry doors. Unfortunately, some of the cabs were so deteriorated or covered in graffiti that I couldn't find any markings, so I've had to refer to videos and pictures from other people. For this car, I noticed on Google Street View that a vandalizing Samaritan wrote its number on the side. We can see that most of them are from the 8700 series of cars, with a couple in the 7000s. I found a wiki listing all of the metric cars produced in this fleet. According to the list, most of them were built in the late 50s or early 60s and were taken out of service in the late 90s. The most interesting one to me is this last one. By looking up the car number, we can see from older photos that the cab once belonged to the Metropolitan Transport Agency of Montreal. So it appears that the car was built for Chicago, later sold to Montreal, and then retired and stored back in the Chicago area. I can't find its exact year of retirement, but cars with similar numbers were retired in 2003, so I'm guessing the same applies here. So where does that leave us today? Well, in 2019, Iowa Pacific, the company that was storing all these cars, attempted to sell Mark 91 with no success. The company would go bankrupt the next year, and these trains have sat unmoved since then. It's kind of hard to say what Mark 91's future will be at this point. I think it could be cleaned up and preserved in a museum. I'm not sure that it's realistic to hope that the engine is repaired and actually brought back into service. But who knows? Perhaps like Henry, Mark II may be redeemed one day.